Hi again and welcome to the Richard and Judy Book Club exclusively at WH Smith. We're in our 2012 spring season, as you obviously know, and our next book is this one. It's called A Cold Season. It's by Alison Littlewood. I love this book. It is incredibly spooky. If you're a fan of Stephen King and you like that kind of horror, supernatural kind of stuff, you will absolutely adore this. Alison's here with us now. You've actually been, I know this is your first novel.
It is, yes.
But you've actually been writing horror and fantasy for various specialist magazines for a long time, haven't you?
I have, yes, mainly short fiction.
Yeah.
Fairly soon after I started writing, I seemed to just be drawn to fairly dark subjects and looking at the unexplainable and unsettling. So
it's got a touch of the Royston Vases about it, this village where it's set. Do you know what I mean?
I do know,
weird.
yes.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's basically, it's a young mother and her son, and they're moving to this village on Saddleworth Moor, which you know very well, don't you?
I do, yes. I spent almost 9 years commuting across from West Yorkshire to Saddleworth. Mm-hmm. So I did get to know that area quite well.
Well, it opens very spookily on an intensely foggy night on Saddleworth, on the very road that you used to commute on.
Yes.
And you say you remember these terribly foggy nights where you couldn't see a hand in front of your face.
Yes, and it could be perfectly clear in the valleys, but once up on Saddleworth Moor, it would just be absolutely thick fog and you wouldn't be able to see anything except a little board on each side of the car.
Such a spooky opening.
And of course you've got Cass, who is a young mother. Her husband is a soldier in Afghanistan and he's gone missing. And she presumes he's dead, he's presumed dead. And so she decides to take her son and start a completely new life in an area where she used to live a long time ago, in Darnshaw.
Yes.
Darnshaw is the most fabulous village. It's pure Stephen King. It's very kind of, it's important, isn't it? It's very bound. It's bound by the hills. It's bound by the snow, which starts to happen.
It is, yes.
Yeah. So everybody really, all the inhabitants all know each other and everything. And Cass, on the way to this village, she picks up a hitchhiker, another woman who seems perfectly harmless. But what I loved was these little, like her son Ben doesn't, the 9-year-old boy who's in there with her, doesn't like the smell of this woman who's just on her way to Darnshaw, because he says she smells like a butcher's shop.
Smells like meat.
And all the way through there's this slightly, it's not really spelled out, but there is this slightly vampiric aspect to it, isn't there?
There is a little bit, and it seems to be the child that picks up on it more than the mother.
Yeah.
And Cass is quite often trying to piece together what's happening through what she can glean from a child, but obviously Ben's quite young and is confused and doesn't quite understand what's
because his
happening.
dad's dead and all the rest of it.
What's the headmaster called? Mr.
Remick.
Mr. Remick. Now, Mr. Remick is not right at all. There's something very dark. He's a replacement headmaster. Now, the headmaster is I think, evil Mr. Remick. He's charming. He's could almost be the devil himself, actually. He's charming. He's handsome. But there's something very dark at the heart of him, isn't there? Is he a vampire?
Not as such, no. I didn't envisage him as a vampire, although there are definite hints that vampiric things are going on in the background.
Yeah.
Like mysterious Ribena stains that might not be Ribena.
Yeah, that probably aren't Ribena. Yes.
But the whole point is that there exists within this village a large number of people, mostly women. It's mostly women, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah, who are under his spell. And they are very strange indeed. And Cassie's little boy, Ben, goes to school, he meets the children at the school, and he gradually gets drawn into, I won't spell out what's happening, but this sort of cult thing, he gradually gets drawn into it. And from being a lovely, happy, apart from losing his dad, but a bouncy, sweet little boy, he becomes really quite unpleasant and dark and incredibly critical of his mother. That's what happens. And then when the snowstorm comes, they're completely stuck in the village. They can't get out, can they, at all?
No, they can't.
And she tries, doesn't she, to walk across with him, because she said desperate to get him out of there. She can't drive because the snow's so thick. She tries to walk across to another village, and they kind of get stuck in this almost evil circle of stones.
The witch stones.
Yes, the witch stones.
That's a great. Tell us about the wich stones. That's a wonderful invention.
The witch stones are an invention, but they're one that when I was writing the book, I couldn't help thinking I wish they were real and sort of imagined them up there on the moor.
Yeah.
But tell us what they are in the book.
Sentinel.
What's their function then in the story?
The witch stones, the myth about them is that they were there to keep witches out of the village, but somebody says partway through, well, perhaps they were there to keep the witches in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's that feeling that Cass is trapped there, and because there are evil forces sort of closing in on her, that the witch stones aren't going to be able to let her leave. And so when she gets stuck in the snow, it is at these stones.
Now, in the end, what happens to Cass, it looks like, after a great deal of drama...
Don't give it away.
I'm not.
Okay.
It looks like it's going to be a happy ending. It looks like finally, you know, this claustrophobic village and all the rest of it. And you kind of think that. You think, okay, oh good, right, everything seems to have worked out all right. But it hasn't. Because as she drives away, as she hopes back to her normal life, her life away from Darnshaw, she becomes aware that in some sense she's been corrupted by what's been going on in Darnshaw. And that's the great thing about Mr. Remick, because he is, although he's evil, he's very sexy. And she can't resist him, can she?
She can't, no, and especially because she has been drawn under this spell, it's almost like she's bound to him in a way.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, that attraction is still almost drawing her back.
And you have this feeling at the end of the book that basically, although it all seems on the surface to end perfectly happily, actually she's damned. You think that's true?
I think the situation at the end of the book is, yeah, Cass is in trouble, basically.
Yeah.
But I think because her life is continuing, I think there's wriggle room, basically, and I think Cass is just becoming more resourceful through the book. The more she's backed into a corner and she's isolated, she's finding inner strength to fight back.
Yeah.
So I think there is some hope for Cass in my mind, anyway.
Well, it's a brilliant debut novel, your first full-length novel. Are you working on another?
I am, yes, yeah.
Okay.
I started on another one before I actually found out that this one was going to be published, which was quite good, because I think if I knew it was going to be published first, I'd have been quite terrified of starting another one.
But another horror fantasy.
It's another very dark book. It's more of a twisted fairy tale meets a crime novel.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, still slightly strange things happening.
You've got a great imagination. You really have.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. It's really, honestly, it's perfect reading for a cold winter's night. If you're sitting in front of a roaring fire, it's absolutely what you need. So
this is Alison Littlewood, and this is her first debut full-length novel, Cold Season. It's a cracker. They all are, to be honest, on the list this year. They all are on all our lists. If you want to tell us what you think about it, come back here once you've read it to the website, whsmith.co.uk/Richard and Judy. Remember that you can download our podcasts, which have bits of interviews with all the authors and all sorts of other material to do the book club. And of course, you can go to the back of the book, as I mentioned in the interview here, and you'll find not a short interview with each author, questions from me and Judy and their answers, and other material as well, if you buy the book from WH Smith. Enjoy this one, A Cold Season.